Hi, Sagittarius. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for November of 2020. Sag, if this is your sun sign, your birthday is coming soon, and you might want to think about getting your annual birthday reading early because there's no better way to hit the ground running, knowing what's coming, than a birthday solar return reading. And you can get that at the link in the YouTube description below. We have got some great news about planets going direct this month. Hey, Julia, what's up with Mercury and Mars for Sagittarius this
Ooh, good
November?
question, Jamie. Well, hey there, Sag. So I'll start with Mercury, which is the planet of communication, the planet of mentation. And whenever Mercury goes retrograde, there tends to be a lot of miscommunications in our lives. So Mercury begins the month retrograde in the sign of Libra, which is your 11th house. This is the house of friends. This is the house of long-term goals. So it does mean that you're coming out of a few weeks of frustration, especially with regard to miscommunication in your friendship groups or any other groups that you're a part of. The 11th house rules professional associations, gamer circles, any group of people you find yourself in. Also, Mercury retrograde in the 11th can mean that you've been having to rethink or review some long-term life strategy of yours as well. Now, the good news is Mercury is going to go direct on November 3rd, so that's going to make things a lot easier. Then Mercury enters Scorpio on November 10th, which is your 12th house of the subconscious. So during this period, you could be getting some very interesting information from kind of subconscious realms, maybe from dream states, maybe from meditation, maybe from other altered states of consciousness too. Kind of a trippy time period. And then the next planet I want to talk about is Mars, which also begins the month retrograde in the sign of Aries, where it's been for a long time, a couple of months or so.
Hmm.
Now, it finally goes direct on November 14th, but all of this activity has been happening in your 5th house. That's the house of children. That's the house of fun and games. So this means that you're coming out of a very frustrating cycle where you may have had a lot of flare-ups with children, if you have any, maybe a screaming baby at home, maybe a pubing teen that's not listening to you right now, or some other kind of child rebellion against you. Now, it can also mean that you've been feeling very, very stir crazy, like you want to go out and have fun, but there are all these circumstances that just keep blocking, your ability to express yourself and to seek diversions and amusements. So the good news is this frustrating cycle is coming to a close soon. So hooray. And the last planet I want to talk about is Venus, the planet of art, beauty, and relationships, because she begins this month in the sign of Libra, which is also your 11th house. So even if you've had miscommunications with your friends, Venus in the 11th house means that you have been getting along really well with them for the most part. And if you have a partner, then you're probably enjoying your relationship more within the context of your friendships than just one-on-one. Then Venus enters Scorpio on November 21st, which is your 12th house. This is also the house of seclusion. So that can mean that after the 21st, after being very, very social, you might want to withdraw a little bit, spend time alone with your partner because Venus is the planet of relationships, or just enjoy a little bit more you time.
Sweet. And that same day, the sun moves into Sagittarius, thus beginning Sagittarius season, which is your season. So birthday time, as I said before, is upon you. And the sun, therefore, is going to begin lighting up your first house. And the sun brings the spotlight of attention and awareness and consciousness to any area that it moves through. The first house being the house of self, and also the house of the actions that you take. You might think of it as the house of Captain Obvious. And the sun there is going to just bring you a lot of attention. So we've got a couple of moons to talk about. And the first one is a new moon in Scorpio, which falls in your 12th house. And we're calling this moon Consider Your Shared Estate. And that's because it incorporates Juno themes, which have to do with partnership. And that can be either personal partnership, as in a marriage or long-term committed relationship, or professional partnership, as in a business partner, or the kind of career and work that puts you into partnership with others for their benefit, like, being a consultant, for example. So during this moon, which is in Scorpio, there are going to be a lot of themes of, looking at end of life, looking at your will, looking at what's going to happen to all of your stuff. If you pass, if your partner passes, is all of that stuff shipshape? And addressing that is a really great idea to do during this moon. Now, this stuff falls in your 12th house, which is the house of stuff that we've put behind us, that we're not really looking at, that we're not usually that aware of most of the time. It's a very private house. And in that house, sometimes things can be a little blurry. So if you're feeling like on some unconscious level, in the back of your mind, you should be working on your will and things like that, actually doing it would be a good idea. Then it won't come back to bite you later on. And speaking of later on in the month, as the sun moves into Sagittarius, the moon comes into an opposition with it. And we have a full moon in Gemini in your 7th house here on the 30th of November. Now, this moon we're calling Make the Mind, Body, Heart Connection. And we're calling it that because the moon is emotional. It has to do with the heart. Gemini, the sign the moon is in, is the sign of the mind, of the cerebral, the rational. And this moon also squares Ceres, which is about the physical body and the physical world. So, and this moon occurs across the axis of self versus other, with the moon itself falling in the 7th house of partnership. So there's something here about getting yourself into a state of equality, of balance, of harmony, peacefulness in your relating, in your communication with your partner, bringing your heart into it, bringing your rational mind into it, and grounding all of that in the physical during this full moon. In longer term news, Saturn and Jupiter have been traveling through Capricorn this year, and with Pluto too, and some other things, and it's just felt so burdensome and heavy and serious, and downright oppressive in places. And we've made a lot of videos about that you can check out on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology. But I'm here to say that the tone is going to shift enormously. Things are going to lighten up quite a bit because next month, December, Jupiter and Saturn are going to move into Aquarius, and oh, what a relief it is. And we've made videos about this already, one for Jupiter moving into Aquarius, one for Saturn, and you can find them in our November 2020 news playlist. Well, we love making these horoscopes for you, and we hope that you enjoy them as much as we enjoy making them. And if you do, it would be awesome if you would like, share, and subscribe, and spread this goodness out in your world. And until next month, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.